All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about screening away from the ball. In this example, defender 2 is playing offense player number 2 and is playing a deny style of defense, usually taught on the line, up the line, trying to prevent a pass from happening directly from player 1 to player 2. So in this example, to teach a screen, player 1 is going to pass to player 3, and player 1 is going to go set a screen on defender number 2. Most defenders are taught to move on the flight of the ball. So as the ball moves to player 3, the defender is going to move with it. In this example, he's going to play halfway between the ball and his man. Offensive player number 2 must set up his screen to receive the screen from player number 1, usually done by some type of basket cut, getting the defender to turn their head and be worried about the player cutting to the basket. So it's important that player number 1, after they pass the ball to player 3, seeks out defender number 2 to try to make contact with the screen. After the player makes contact, offensive player 2 should receive that screen as tight as possible to his teammate to curl in for a layup.
Yep.
This is an example of a 2-on-0 screening drill to practice screening away from the ball. In this example, there are 2 coaches, one on a wing, one on the baseline, and there are 2 lines of players. The coach who is on the baseline should have a ball with them. The players in blue are going to be the passing line. The players in white are going to be the players receiving the screen. The player in blue passes the basketball to the coach, and after passing the ball, goes to set a screen. That screen should be set in an area where the screen is likely to happen. The player receiving the screen is going to receive the screen coming off shoulder to hip, curling to the basket. That player will receive a pass from the coach on the baseline with a ball. After setting the screen, the player who sets the screen should then pop back to the ball for a shot from the coach. After shooting, each player should get their own rebound and pass the ball back to the line to the next person, and then fill the line behind. Some keys to this drill: headhunting the screen, making contact on the screen, the angle of the screen, and 1 to the ball, 1 to the basket. As player 2 passes the ball to coach and sets the screen, it's important to headhunt. As we talked about earlier, the defender is taught to move on the flight of the ball, so that player may be on the basket line, that player may be in a deny position. Wherever that player is, the player who passes the ball and is setting the screen should be taught to headhunt. Making contact on the screen is incredibly important. If you're able to, it's good to have a coach here to make contact with the screen. The angle that the screen is set at, the player who is setting the screen should have their back to the basketball so that they are prepared to make contact with the screen and then pop back to the basketball or make a basket cut. And then lastly, on all of our screens, we have a very simple rule that says 1 player should go to the ball and 1 player should go to the basket. In this example, after setting the screen, 1 player going to the ball is going to represent the screener. 1 player going to the basket is going to represent the person receiving the screen. This action is called a curl pop. After passing the basketball to the coach, so I get this player back in line. After passing the ball to the coach, this player who sets the screen is setting a screen that's going to allow a curl action to happen, running tight off of the screen, curling to the basket. That player is the curl player. The player coming back to the basketball is called the pop player, or pops back to the basketball. 1 player to the ball, 1 player to the basket.